What's going on, people? So it's been a little while since I sat down and did an actual shoe review. I had a couple videos I did earlier in the week that were like the collection videos for like my boost things and all that. And last week I think I did a performance review, right? Which there's a giveaway somewhere in that no one has cashed in on just yet. And I don't know, I don't remember the rest of last week. But either way, it's been a little while. It's been a little while. And they're wrestling things. So yeah, it's been a while since I did a shoe review. So, and we're not going to start this one off with shoes either. So what can you do? Because I did receive a box the other day. I'm not sure which size it's going to be the top. It probably doesn't matter. But yeah, so I did receive, I felt like it went through a little too deep. This box came in from Jezzy yesterday, I think it was, which would have been Friday. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this on up on the side so that way you guys don't see I or his address. And he has some serious tape on here. I don't know if you saw that. Alright. And what we have in here, go ahead and pull this out. Because you may have seen the last video where I did an unboxing of the rest of this set. So you got Kenny Omega and you got Nick Jackson. So now I have more or less completed the AEW set for wave 1. The only person that's left is Brandy, but the thing is, I don't really even want the Brandy figure, honestly. I would only want it just to complete the set. But the other thing that I pointed out before was like, what is going on with dude's face over here? That's just weird to me. Like, I mean, I'm sure that's how he wants to look, you know, because I'm sure he saw this picture as it was being taken. But it's just a little awkward, But anyway, so there's that. Thank you, Jezzy. Again, his links and his links will be in the description and whatnot, so you can go ahead and check him out on Instagram, right here on YouTube, all that good stuff, right? Because he's a good dude, so it's totally worth your time. Now, what we are here for, though, is this particular box. So, some time ago, last year, I mean, you've seen the thumbnail, you know what we're talking about. I got my first React Prestos, right? After McFly, like, just kind of, he basically peer pressured me into it. I was already going to get some, but he was, like, strong-arming me and whatnot. It was crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's supposed to be, like, a safe place, you know? Nope, not if you're around him. But anyways, so, fast forward, I ended up with a few pairs of those, but I always wondered what they would feel like if they had FlyKnit instead of that nylon sort of mesh thing they have going on, right? Because FlyKnit is just a better material. And then, what do you know? Lo and behold, Nike decided to make the actual React Presto FlyKnits, which is why we're here today. So, top of the box right there, standard stuff, nothing special. And then the side of the box is also standard stuff and nothing special. So, as this reads, it is what? The black vast gray. If you look on the website, there's also something in there about like some kind of pink or something. I don't know. It was a weird like fire pink or something. I don't know where they get their color names. It doesn't much matter. What does matter is how does the shoe look? How does it feel? So let's go ahead and move on into that, shall we? So let's see. Get this thing opened up. These are looking all right. Nice little multicolor sort of thing going on and whatnot. Yeah, got that stuff on the bottom, like the little crushed up nerds and fruity pebbles mixed into some like paper mache sort of. It's a weird look, but you know, it's what people are doing right now, or at least Nike anyway. If you've seen their, what were those things? The Space Hippies and something else that they did. But anyway, so going ahead looking at these are looking all right though. They are just fine. Okay, all right. But again, you know, you got to look at everything, make sure there's no weird issues or whatever. Because, you know, dealing with returns and exchanges, just not really a huge fan of it. But, and also for those that are wondering what the price was, because I didn't say $140, I was able to get these for like $120, $115, something in there. Something under retail, which is always the goal, right? The goal is also to start a review at some point. So let's do that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now review time on this right here, the Nike React Presto FlyKnit, and we're just going to call it the multicolored colorway. Not bad at all, in my opinion, just going off my first impressions, but the first impressions only matter so much. It's what happens after those first impressions, at least with shoes, that truly gives you an idea on if they're worth it or not. So let's go ahead and get these broken down and see what we see, shall we? Across the bottom here, I'm starting with the outsole as we always do. What you're going to see is very much the standard outsole that is on pretty much every other React Presto. The only difference being that this one has a different look to it. So they've got that sort of trash look from the space hippies going on down there. I don't know how much recycled material went into these. If I figure that out between now and editing, of course it will be in there. If you don't see that flash across the screen, I did not figure that out. Now, it does have a look that maybe isn't for everybody, but it's also on the bottom of the shoe, so keep that in mind. It's not going to be seen a whole lot. Now, moving past that onto the midsole, of course. The midsole is, again, your standard thing that you've seen before. It's got like the big, white, chunky React with a little bits of that garbagey sort of bottom poking up on the outsides. And of course, as well as on the inside, right? You just have a little bit more on the outside. Now anyways, past that, we're gonna move on to the upper here. The upper, as was labeled on the box, this is a FlyKnit upper this time around. It feels a little weird though. It almost has that same feel, like the comparison, right, would be kind of like the Ultra Boost 20s where they, or maybe the other Parleys where it wasn't full on knit, so it felt just a little rough. And that's kind of how these feel, honestly. Like they don't have that same sort of vibe that say like the Air Max 1 FlyKnits, if you guys remember those, right? Those had a very different feel to them. But anyways, moving on as far as how they look though, the look is pretty solid in my opinion, right? Now you've got a lot of stitching pattern going on here, kind of switching it up and whatnot. And just intertwined in there, you've got a little bit of red, some blue, some pink, some kind of like maybe tealish color. You got a lot of stuff going on down in there. It kind of reminds me of the VaporMax 2s, the VaporMax 2 multicolors, which I had on not too long ago, I think. But anyway, so moving past that, and there will have been close-ups to get you the whole looks of the shoe all around and whatnot. But just going at it from the top and everything, you can kind of see straight down the middle. They've got the stitching line across where the pattern changes. Behind that, moving on to the back, it's the same sort of thing. It's really just, it's kind of hard to describe, but basically just know that the stitching pattern alternates throughout the shoe, right? And there's a lot of colors in it. I think that's the best way to sum it up, so we'll just move past it. And then on the back, under this little like this sort of fabricy feel here, you've got a couple dots in there. I mean, that does nothing for me. It's kind of a weird choice. I would have kind of preferred they would have just stuck with a single color or made them not so, I don't know. I'm fine with it, but I would rather it have been done differently. And then moving past that, of course, you got this little pull tab thing for whatever reason. Now, one of the things about these shoes that makes them hard to recommend to everybody, despite how comfortable they tend to be, is this cage. Not everybody's a fan of it, and I totally understand why, because it just has a weird look to it. But if you can get past that, then, stick with me through the review. Anyway, so this one is kind of like a sort of a milky, sort of white, not quite opaque, but it is mildly clear. You can kind of see if this is picking up like your fingers through there. And that's holding down some very standard white laces. The white laces, some people might like that. I'm indifferent to it, but I kind of at the same time wonder how this would have looked if they had chosen one of these random other colors for the laces. And there aren't any other colors in the box, it's just these right here that you get. And then those are held down with this little patch here. And looking onto the inside, because there's not a whole lot else to say, both pairs just have that P in there for the Presto. So nothing fancy about that, with that black insole, of course. And then the typical sock liner thing where it kind of has like maybe an older KD sort of look to it, maybe like a 350 look to it. Whatever you want to compare this to. It's just that, right? So now that we've done that, I think we've covered everything there is about the shoe. Well, no, not just yet. One thing I do want to add in here, because people often look into this section when it comes to the React shoes, because towards the back, if you're wearing like an Element 87 or the 55s, the back of those is not very forgiving to some people, right? Because of, depending on what types of socks you wear, hopefully you're wearing socks. If you're not, that's weird. But anyways, if you're not, or you just have low ones, the back of them would kind of dig into like your heel area, like right above the heel or whatever that part is called. This part, it looks like it's going to be pretty comfortable, because this feels very cushioned here and almost feels like neoprene on there. So that should not be a problem. That will be something I figure out in the review portion, or excuse me, in the on foot portion. If I remember to say something, good. If not, then I'll just have to, again, slip that into like the text on the screen or something. But anyways, these are looking like they're gonna feel pretty decent, but I want to know if they're gonna feel pretty decent. So I'm gonna step away from this camera for a moment, go put these on, because again, I've never worn these before, and I'll be back in just a moment. So sit tight, all right? Okay, and now I'm back. So, gotta say, these are feeling pretty good. If that's all you need to hear, if that's enough for you, goodbye. Thanks for showing up. I do appreciate it. If you want some details behind that, I understand that, so here you go. Now, walking around in these, right? Because I wore these along with just wearing a pair of my like the pistachio frost, right? Because I wanted to get that comparison. So the upper is the only place where these feel any differently. So if you have another pair of React Prestos, the bottom, the midsole, all that feels exactly the same. But the upper, right? So to me, these feel like they have a bit more structure to them, like they have a little more sturdiness, if you will. Whereas with the React Prestos, the standard ones, it's kind of like a free-for-all in there. Your foot is just kind of moving around however it wants to move around. These, given that it's like a tighter stitch, I like that personally. So to me, I give the edge to these. Now you're gonna want to try them out for yourself to see how you feel as far as that goes, but that's just my take on it. Now, as far as the sizing of them, so again, this is a 9.5, which is pretty much my Nike size, true to size, whatever. And these fit perfectly fine. So unlike certain Prestos in the past where they only came in like 8, 9, 10, whatever, these you do have the half size option. So whatever you would normally buy, whatever your true to size is, go ahead and buy that and you're probably gonna be fine. If you happen to have other React Prestos, you could just buy that same size obviously too and you'll be fine. But yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say about that. So again, as far as the upper goes, right? These to me feel better just because of the way they're stitched and it doesn't feel so loose in there. Kind of like why I would had previously recommended the React Visions over these, right? So now this kind of puts them on a closer to even playing field, in my personal opinion anyways. But outside of that, I think we have covered everything we need to cover. So we're just gonna move on. I feel like there was something I was supposed to say though. Oh yeah, the heel area. Yeah, the heel area is fine, right? It's fine. Don't worry about it. You've got some nice cushion back there. You're gonna be okay, even you savages that don't wear socks in your shoes. So now that we've got that all out of the way, I suppose we can go ahead and get this video wrapped up, right? Because I don't have any other upcoming videos to plug or anything. So there's that. Eventually I'll get some more shoes on here, but I haven't seen anything that really stands out. I don't know about you guys, but it seems to be a bit of a drought. Though there are some Prestos coming up, like standard style Prestos. Some green ones. I don't know what the story is, but they look kind of cool. So we'll see how that plays out. Probably not well if it's a sneakers only release, but you know, whatever. If you miss out on something, you miss out on something and you just move on. That's how I feel. So speaking of moving on, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. I'm gonna go ahead and edit this video, knock out an on foot, do another video, which you'll see at some point as well. And yeah, that's gonna be my day. So later people.